Okay, is it recording? Yeah. Okay. So hello guys. Previously we solved our box called Active Directory. We learned a lot of information regarding Active Directory and domain control and curve root, etc. Now we are much more focused on a Linux part. If you don't know about the Linux is an open source platform, open source architecture, open source operating system, which is provided by the Linux community itself. There are plenty of Linux operating system available in the internet, which is there are some free and there are some proprietorship also. So today we are going to solve a easy challenge called root me. Let me just go to my VirtualBox first. As you can see, this is root me challenge. It is a beginner one, so I pick this challenge because we need to flourish uh, um, our base first, then we can proceed to the uh, high kind of pen testing skill. Okay, so first thing first, you need to deploy the machine by starting, and after that you need to connect to their particular VPN. Okay, so you can access those data which the TryHackMe provide. Okay, now the second thing is called recurrence, which is mean enumerating stuff. So you need to enumerate, and the best thing and the best tool for enumerating is called nmap. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you how can you use. Okay, let me just go to my terminal and type nmap, type nmap, and followed by the particular IP. Let's just check the is the IP correct. Yeah, that's correct. So sorry. So I'm just firing up a command called nmap by text sc for a secure for save script sv for the version. What this command is means that any kind of software, any kind of service are running on the web, I can pretty much access that, and I can know the which version is running, which service is running. So we can find some exploit. If there are some exploit running on that particular service, then we can exploit it by using different kind of method. And if it is not, we need to enumerate more. Okay, just hit enter. So we're going to start and scanning the ports which have some sort of service running. So we have to waste first. uh, Let me just check if I. Okay, so it's done. It is really fast. Okay, so okay, so the nmap scan is done, and it's basically 22 seconds, so it's quite fast. So the first thing first, there is a ssh open key. There is a ssh means secure cell. What does the means of secure cell? In previous video I talk about a tool called Ramina. So there is a thing called SSH which is running on port 22, and as you can see it's running on port 22. Okay, so what does that mean? That it's mean that we can access those machine, we can access this machine if we have valid credentials, valid username and valid password. Okay, and by triggering on port 22 we can access the machine also. So we need to first encounter that there's a 22 port is open, and there's another port called 80, which is TCP IP, which is under TCP, and it's hosting a web server called Apache HTTP 2.4.29 Ubuntu. So let's just see. So as you can see, it's hosting a web server. Okay, if we go to the source by pressing Ctrl U for finding out if something is interesting in here, and let me just zoom a bit in order to. But as you can see, it's a basic HTML file. uh, okay, okay, so nothing is fine interesting. You can see under the class section, under the class dividend, it actually give me the can you root me thing, and and you can see it's here also it's going to prompt it here. If you don't know about the web server thing, just going to tell you about the web server is actually is a front end thing. Okay, so all of these things which you are seeing is actually by using this entire entire program, entire backend program. So what does it mean? That it's actually working on a HTML. If you don't know about the HTML called hypertext markup language. It is a language which we use for creating website and hosting it on web server. Okay, so as you can see, we don't find something interesting in there. We don't find something interesting. So how can we how can we get into this machine? How can we access this machine? But first thing first, we need to answer some basic enumerating stuff. So the first question is asking me how many ports are open. As you can see, there are two ports are open, port 22 and port 80. So I type 2. What version of Apache is running? So as you can see, Apache, yeah, it's here. It's Apache 2.4.29. Apache is a web server. There are plenty of web server available in the internet. First one is Apache, second one is Nginx, third one is Microsoft server, and fourth one is Google server. The Apache and the Nginx is much more popular because of its open source nature. Okay, so another thing called what is the services running on port 22. If we don't know about the scan result also, we can pretty much answer that port 22 is hosting a service called SSH. But keep in mind that these port can be changed. Okay, there's a no chance that let's just say in a IT structure, administrative change the port 22 or you can say the SSH service in a different port, and that port 22 is hosting a different kind of service. So it can be possible. Okay, it doesn't mean that if uh, the default port 22 is hosting SSH, then SSH, so it always hosting SSH on port 22. It's not uh, uh, that common. So another thing called we have to brute force the directory. What does that mean called brute forcing a directory? So let me give you an example first. So when you if you have a computer, okay, so when you go to the file explorer, there are plenty of document downloads, music, picture, public, template, video. There's plenty of folder available on your phone, available on your computer now, as well as your phone. There are plenty of folder available under which there are plenty of information stored. Just like if we go to the download, then all the download thing are actually located on here. And if you go to the document, all the relevant document, all the important document located in document folder. The same concept actually work on web server also. Let's just say this IP and this web server actually your file explorer. Okay, under the file explorer there are plenty of folder, plenty of documents are stored, and that document actually helping to to basically to host this particular web page to particular web server itself. So we need to find those internal folder to find some more to find some more information regarding this web server. So how can we do that? So for doing that, there's a tool called GoBuster. Let me just show you how. Let me just show which tool I'm talking about. It's GoBuster. It's a very popular tool. It's a very popular tool. Plenty of pen tester use this for brute forcing the web server itself. It can be used by any brute forcing. You just have to put the IP and the potential uh, the folder list, and if it can be work on DNS also, which is like google.com, twitter.com, etc. So for using the GoBuster, I put a command in here. So let me just copy my command and paste it over here. Okay, and we need to change the IP first, which is this in my case. And what is it the command means? So GoBuster for initiating the GoBuster tool, dir for directory, tag u for URL. Okay, so we have to put the entire URL, and keep in mind that it is not a secured URL. It is actually hosting HTTP. You have to encounter that HTTP and HTTPS first. You need to differentiate them both, because HTTP means hypertext transfer protocol. On the other hand, HTTPS means hypertext transfer protocol, secured one. So generally, most of the people advise us to go on those websites which have a HTTPS. What does that mean? Let's just say if I open Google here. Okay, so as you can see, the actual URL is actually a HTTPS, and there's a lock button also. It means that it's a secured one. It can be brute force, but it's a little tedious task to do by the hacker also. Okay, so we just need to hit enter, and what does the URL word tag w for word list, and what does this common.txt? It's common.txt is holding different kind of folders, different kind of potential folders for the web server itself, just like panel, just like HTML, etc. And it going to brute force these entire common.txt file into this particular web server. So if any potential folder can be find out, then we get the access of that. Okay, so you just have to hit enter, and okay, so I think something is not working. So what does it not working? Let me just check first. Okay, so yeah, so let's just check what is the. Okay, just go to the particular URL. Okay, so it's single, not double. Let's just find out that we can ping, or is it we are in not scope, we are out of scope of the VPN. Yeah, we can do that. So let me just copy the command, paste it over here, and just change the IP itself, and hope everything will be working. Yeah, as you can see, it's up and running, and these are all the, let me just zoom it a bit so you can see. As you can see, these are all the uh, basically can be a folder in the web server itself. Let's just say first is HTA access. Let me just copy, and let's see if something is here or not. So as you can see, it's a forbidden. It's say that you don't have permission to access this particular resource. Okay, fine. So we can't access. So there is a CSS folder also, which is called cascading style sheet, which is generally used uh, for make beautiful HTML format, for beautiful for making the. So as you can see, these are all the folder under the CSS. So under the CS, so it says that it's a home CSS. So it's a basic cascading sheet. Na, you don't find some interesting, because as you can see, it's there's a background color called green. So it's a basic CSS file. So if you learn about the CSS, you can pretty much understand what is going on here. So as you can see, font size is, so basically font size is 12 pixel. Text line center means the text particular is aligned on center. Okay, so I used to learn those things also, so that's why I can tell you about. So the next question is that what is the hidden directory itself? So as you can see, there's a directory called panel that we find out. Let's just find out that what is actually hosting in there. Panel, and hit enter. As you can see, there is a secret thing called upload in a panel directory itself. So we need to upload something in order to get the reversal. So what is the reversal? Reversal. What is the reversal? So let me just open our terminal first. So this is a cell. Okay, this is a cell. So there are plenty of cell available in the uh, command line, or you can say terminal. First one is ZSH, second one is bash, which is there are plenty, there are plenty of that, but most of that cases you have to see this cell in a actual environment. And keep in mind, it's a Linux one, not a window. Okay, so under the panel we have there's some sort of upload section also where we can upload files. As you can see, my file explorer is open. So what we need to do, we need to upload some sort of malicious file in the browser section and upload it to the web server, so we can pretty much access that particular file which we going to upload, and get some sort of connection to the machine itself. So for doing that, there's a thing called PHP. And okay, so let me just give you a brief intro about that. So okay, so as you can see, this is the place we have to upload our PHP file. But there's another thing also, which is I'm going to show you first. So this is a website now. So how can you know that which the website actually working on which platform? It can be HTML, it can be a PHP, it can be anything. So for knowing the it actually running on PHP or not, you just have to go to the index.php. And as you can see, it's not going to give me a error. If I type index.html here, it's going to give me an error that it's not found. What does that mean? That the website actually hosting some sort of PHP thing. Okay, so there is a high chance that we need to upload a PHP file in order to make a reversal, in order to make a reverse connection from this machine itself. So there's a thing called pentester monkey. Let me just go to the pentester monkey, sorry, PHP reverse cell. Okay, so there's a terminology called PHP reversal. The first link which you have found encountered, you just have to click on that link, and there's a GitHub repository open. And as you can see, this is a PHP file. There's a PHP file. It's called reversal, PHP reversal. You just have to hit OK on that particular file, and you just have to download all the entire thing. So you can do that by uh, um, clicking the raw button, and just copy that and paste it over a text file. There's another way called for cloning the entire repository itself. So if you want to clone it, just you have to copy this thing in a code section, and just using okay using the git clone itself, you just need to copy the entire repository itself. I'm not going to do that because I actually have this PHP in my machine itself. So what we're going to do, we're going to navigate on that particular php.reversal. So we need to just go to the document and type go to that particular file itself. Okay, so as you can see, this is the file called php.reverse.cell. So we cannot just put this file as as it's blank, okay, as a normal one. So we need to modify this php.reverse.cell. So how can we modify? You can use any kind of text editor for modifying it, but I'm going to use a tool called Nano. So I just type Nano and just hit enter. And as you can see, the reversal PHP is open now, and we need to modify something in order to make our code working in a proper manner. So there's a thing called IP here. We need to copy our IP, not the web server IP, our IP, because we need to get a connection in our computer itself, not on a web server, because web server the web server connection need to be happening in my computer now, not my computer connection is going to be my computer connection going to be, or my some sort of cell going to be on a web server, because it's going to be tricky. Okay, so for knowing your IP, you just have to type ipconfig here, and there's a thing called TUN0. So what is called TUN0? So when you connected any sort of VPN, okay, let me just tell you that I am connecting on a VPN. Okay, VPN called virtual private network. It stands for virtual private network. And but how it is work? It is working on in a tunnels in a tunnel. So let's just say you are living in a Texas. I am living in a Delhi. You want to send some files and send some data to me as in an encrypted form, so that the entire internet cannot access that file when you send this file to me. So you what we are going to do, what you are going to do, you are creating a VPN itself in your computer itself, and provide that VPN file to me to access that particular VPN connection. And when we both trigger that particular VPN file, we have some sort of tunnel connection. Under the tunnel section, there's a terminology called encryption. Okay, so all those files which we send from my end to your end, it going to be encrypted. So there's a no chance that any person can access those file. If let's just say if he or she access that particular file, then he or she can't connect it, can't crack the algorithm, can't crack the particular file itself, because it's an on encrypted one. For decrypting that particular file, we on our VPN file itself, there's a terminology called IDRSA. What is IDRSA? It's a public and private key. For example, let's just say when you sending a file to me, you're sending you basically sending your file in a basically in a lock. Okay, to open that lock, I have some sort of key. Okay, I have a key for unlocking that particular lock itself and accessing that particular data which you are going to send to me. Okay, um, so in a SSH tunnel, there are two things which actually works pretty often. First one is tunnel itself. That's why it's going to give a prompt called TUN. TUN means tunnel. Okay, and the other thing called encryption itself. Okay, so this is my IP. I'm just copying this IP and paste it over here, and there's a port. Okay, so there's a port section under which we need to specify the port. So on which port we are accessing that particular file. So I write 9001 because I am a Vegeta fan. That's why I okay. So Control X, Control Y, and yeah. So we need to upload this file to this section. Okay, so browse, go to RSL, go to PHP. No, it's not R. Go to document, go to CTF, go to tryhackme, go to rootme, go to PHP dot. So when we going to upload na, so it give me an error. As you can see, I don't understand. It's a Latin language or something, but it's say that PHP is not allowed. So during this situation, for example, let's just say you are in a IT sector, and there's a you want to get some sort of access to the domain controller, to some sort of Linux administrator, and it basically the company hosting a website in an internal network. Okay, so under the browse section, the PHP file cannot be accessible, cannot be browsable, and cannot be uploadable itself. Okay, so what does that mean? You cannot upload the file because they also know that PHP file is generally used for accessing or some sort of penetrating thing. Okay, you're cracking something, you are accessing something illegal. Okay, so there's a thing called, let me just go to my cell step. Is it where is this? Just a minute. Yeah, so it's under upload vulnerability. So we going to encounter the first in upload vulnerability. So what does this entire thing is saying? So so basically it's saying that when a PHP file is blocked by the web server itself, you can modify the PHP file into a PHP 5 module, which is PHTML. Means, what does that mean? So if I rename this entire thing into a some sort of by using PHTML extension, then there's a chance that we can we can upload this thing, na? We can upload that it's the vulnerable PHP file. So for that I just type evil for renaming the file, and phtml and hit enter and type ls. As you can see, there's a evil.phtml file also. We need to browse that particular file and open and click OK. So as you can see, we can upload this thing. Okay, so the uploading part is done. Now for accessing part, for basically for connecting. So how can we connect? Let's just go to the other section itself. So it's going to prompted a question that you need to connect and find a flag. So how can we connect? For connecting the that particular PHTML file and get some sort of connection, you need to go to the that particular web server and find a directory called uploads. Okay, so this directory are basically stored on a Apache web server. Okay, there are plenty of web server which hosting this upload directory also, but if in a basically in a IT company, Apache web server is running, then upload directory also going to be run. Okay, and as you can see, we the particular PHTML file is located under here, and we need to trigger this particular PHTML file to accessing some sort of reverse connection. For reverse connection, now there is a tool called netcat. So what is netcat? Netcat is basically a tool for accessing the particular connection to your machine itself. So for initiating the netcat, I just have to type lvnp and that particular port. Okay, so okay, ncat, okay, lvnp 9001. So what does that mean? So it's mean that I'm triggering the netcat tool and using some sort of tags of netcat itself, some sort of switches. So L for listening, V for verbose, N for new, P for port. You just have to type enter here, and as you can see, your machine is actually listening on port 9001 on 9001. Okay, and that evil.phtml file actually triggering on that particular port 9001 port, and running that particular evil.html file php file, and getting you a cell of this web server itself. You just have to click OK, click basically on a php file, and as you can see, we are in a machine itself. So you just have to type id for knowing that what user we are in. So when you type id, the user is developed data. Okay, so what is the entire thing is actually mean? So uid for user id, the user id is 33. Gid called group id is also 33, and the groups basically it's same, it's a very pretty same. So the username is data. Okay, so there's a thing which we need to encounter first, because when you're accessing some sort of server connection, there's a high chance this connection you are getting, it's not a stable one. For example, it can be slow, it can be okay. So as you can see, this is pretty slow. We need to modify this basically the cell into a stable one, just like this. Okay, just like this, it's a very stable one. You can pretty much do everything, anything you want to do, but it's not a stable. For stabilizing the cell, there's a terminology called, where is the, okay, so let me just go to my notes and copy and paste it over here. So what does that particular command actually do? Okay, I importing the basically pti spawn.bin bash. what is what is the mean of that? When you see that I am actually accessing a SH shell, which is a unstable shell, and bash is in a Linux community, bash is much more stable. Bash is nothing but this. When you get some sort of prompt that where you are located, or okay, but when you encounter that we need to do some thing, that let's just say if you are running clear here, so it's going to clear now. So it's there's a term called there's a term called environment variable. It's just like in a Windows. Also Windows have some sort of environment variable itself, but in a in a Linux, the environment can be import and export in a pretty easy manner. For importing the environment variable, you need to just use this command, paste it over here and hit enter. So as you can see that the basically the X term, which is called environment variable, which is under the part of the environment variable, is importing is actually installed in the web server itself. So if I type clear here, the basically the shell going to be clear, and I can use uh, uh, different command in a very easy manner. Okay, so we need to get the user.txt first. So let me just go to the cd home, type ls, and as you can see there's a text file also. Sorry, cd test ls. Nothing in here. Okay, so go to root. Okay, so go to root me, or you can say go to root me. No, nothing is here. So where is the particular um, okay, so we are in the cell. Now we need to encounter some important thing first. Let me just go to my notes first. Okay, so yeah, okay, so what does the question is asking me for user.txt? So you need to access that particular user.txt. We search a lot, but we cannot find a root.txt, user.txt. For searching, in an entire web server itself, you need to use some sort of command. Okay, some sort of command, and that particular command is actually initiated by the find. Okay, so find itself, the command is find itself. You need to copy this command, you need to paste it over here. So what is going to do, that the command is actually used by find itself, find command, and this means to search in an entire web server, entire folder. Okay, and I'm just going to use that particular syntax called type f. Means it's a basically a switch of find itself, and the name, and the particular switch is actually telling I'm telling that in a particular switch that it's a file. Okay, it's a file, and the particular name is called user.txt. So what does that going to do? If in a entire web server any user.txt is happen na, then it's going to be prompted to me in a very easy manner. So it's going to search on entire machine. Okay, so the search is complete, and we need to find. Okay, so here you can see there's a file located under the var www. You need to just copy it. You need to cat, And as you can see, the first flag is got you got a cell. You just need to copy that and paste it over here. Now we are going to a privilege escalation. Okay. So the first question is asked, search for file with SUID permission. Which file is weird? So what is SUID? You need to first know about the SUID itself. So let me just go to my notes, and yeah, SUID. Okay. So so commonly noted as SUID. Basically, SUID is nothing but is particular file. It can be a particular file that have a some sort of uh, permission level, access level for accessing some sort of function. So let's just say there's a file. There's a file. Okay, there's a file. The admin assign in that particular file to access it by using to access to basically to run that particular file as an admin. So let's just say a normal user just like me can by using any mean can access that particular file and run those that particular file by using by mimic as an administrator. So I can pretty much do that. So this is the main concern about the SUID. SUID is SUID basically it's a permission protocol, permission thing. So you initiating so basically you used to initiate some permission to a particular file, and that particular file can be accessed in a network, can be accessed by any low level user. He can um, in basically trigger that particular file and access the administrative privileges itself. So for finding the SUID in an entire network, you just need to do some basic enumeration. So I'm going to use that particular command, which is finding for SUID, which is find itself. So find command for finding it, forward slash for entire basically directory, entire folder, user. So basically I'm initiating a user that basically that kind of SUID thing actually assigned to the root itself. Okay, so what is root? So let me just give you a brief thing about it. Okay, so by accessing my my basic user, that how many user are actually basically created in my computer. As you can see, first one is root. The root UID and GUID is 0. Okay, and at last there's a user called Kali, which I am currently logged in, and that particular UID and GUID is 1000. So that because SUID is much more integrated to the root itself, to the root user itself. That's why I triggered the root and perm for permission, and the 4000 is a basically is a switch, is a trigger. Okay, you just need to hit enter, and as you can see, the entire thing is in your screen, and you just need to keep in mind that these are the thing which is permission denied. It means that it's a secure one, you cannot access, so it is not going to be vulnerable. uh, there's a one thing which set a UID, which is this, yeah, user.bin.python. It is unusual in your computer, it is unusual in your computer. Okay, it that a Python thing I actually giving you the SUID result, because it is not generally much more in a basically in a network, in a actual network. Okay, so there's a another way for finding it in that by using much more extensive command. Paste it over here and hit enter. So as you can see, it's going to give a small result, but a much more precise manner, much more accurate manner. And as you can see, it's also going to give me the same prompt, which is user.bin.python. Okay, but now we need to encounter that how can we trigger that particular thing for accessing the basic uh, to accessing the root level privileges, because I'm in a I'm in a developed data. I'm sorry. Let me just clear first. I am in a UID called WWW data, which is not very secure, not very superior one in my opinion. I need to go to the root itself, just like this. For getting the root, you need to, in my, if I look into my computer, look into my VirtualBox, this is the root user. If I type ID here, as you can see, this is 0, but it's not going to give me a 0 because it's not a root user. The GUID is 0, but this is not 0, this is 33. But I want the 0 one because I need the root privileges. Okay, so there's an awesome platform called gtfo.obin. Okay, so in gtfo.obin, go to that particular website and type SUID here. S SUID. SUID. You have to search a little bit to get to the actual. So I don't remember where is the. You have to search a lot, search a little bit for finding the actual command. Uh, yeah, yeah. So this is the command is under SUID, and I am actually going to give you the Python one because it's a Python vulnerability. So I need to plug in my computer first. So the PC is not going to shut down. Just a minute. Okay. So copy this thing and paste it over here. So what is going to do now? I am you need to do this in your own. Okay, I'm not going to do that because TryHackMe not going to post me the root.txt file in a YouTube. So what you are going to do? TryHackMe basically give me a YouTube strike. I am not, and this is my initial day of my YouTube channel, and I'm not going to uh, basically give some sort of strike because of that particular root.txt. So you need to copy this entire thing, paste it over here. Then what you are going to do? What you need to do? Go to the home directory. Go to the rootme basically rootme folder by using cd and rootme. And when you enter in rootme, there's a file called root.txt. Okay, for knowing the particular content of that particular file, you just need to root and txt. So basically it's going to give me the prompt. Okay, it going to give you the result. So they said what is actually located on the root.txt. So this is for this is okay. So दिस इज़ फॉर ऑल गाइज. आई होप आपको ये वीडियो पसंद आएगी, और अगर आपको पसंद आती है देन प्लीज़ बताइए मुझे कि मुझे और क्या क्या चीज़ों पे बेसिकली मुझे improve करना चाहिए in order to make this tutorial much more influencer, much more effective and much more contentful in nature. So yeah, I'm going to just stop the machine.